待って。
待って。
No, no, no. 待って。
Yeah, 待って。
どうも everyone! お元気ですか?
Yena です。
Nori desu. For today's video, we're going to be talking about pronunciation. We'll be covering the basic pronunciations that you find in Japanese, and we'll also be talking about some obstacles that you might meet when trying to perfect your speaking. Let's 始めましょう.
I personally don't think that the Japanese pronunciation is that difficult,
Okay.
but there are certain phrases that I still struggle with. For example, the small tsu, or the dash that extends the sound.
Alright. Those are some of the sounds that I hear a lot of Japanese learners struggle with.
Right?
But before we get into that, first of all, I want to start with the basics. And they are the sounds of the Hiragana alphabet. If you've already mastered this, then please feel free to skip this part.
I guess I'll just do something else while you explain the basics.
Mate. The pronunciation of the Hiragana is super easy once you get the hang of it. The focus lies in the first column of the Hiragana chart. A, I, U, E, O. Basically, the vowel sounds.
I think most people are familiar with the vowel sound, but it's pronounced very differently from the English A, E, I, O, U.
Yeah, that's right. It's like pushing out air from your throat. So, A, I, U, E, O. English speakers tend to have a tendency to extend the vowel sounds, but in Hiragana, there's no need to extend them. So it's A, I, U, E, O, and not A, I, U, E, O.
Then is it A, I, U, E, O?
Yeah, very good. And all you have to do is add a consonant in front of these vowel sounds to make up the rest of the Hiragana, apart from which means that all the other columns rhyme with the first column, A, I, U, E, O.
I see.
Once you know how to say each of these hiraganas, then you shouldn't have any issue pronouncing in Japanese. Each letter is one syllable and is pronounced for the same amount of time. So take the example tomato in English. Some parts of the word sounds like it's squished together, and some parts sound like it's longer. But in Japanese, because one letter is one syllable and each of them are pronounced for the same amount of time, it becomes to-ma-to.
Is this the same for all the words in the Japanese language?
Pretty much. Try to pronounce each letter without falling into the habit of connecting the sounds, and people should be able to understand you better.
That's easy enough.
However, there are some hiragana sounds that you need to be careful of. These are the la column, so la, li, ru, le, lo, and the hiragana hu. These are letters that are sometimes hard to pronounce for beginner learners. For the la column, the romanized letters uses R, but personally I think it's closer to the L sound. So instead of rolling your tongue lightly on the roof of your mouth, the image is more flicking your tongue on the roof of your mouth. So la, 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 li, lu, le, lo.
La, li, lu, le, lo.
Okay, so try saying lappa, risu, lupan, letasu, robotto.
Rappa, risu, rupan, letasu, robotto.
It's very close, but I think you're still rolling your R's a little bit. So yeah, so it's more flicking. So la, la, la.
La, la, la. I think you also mentioned another sound which is difficult, right?
Yep, and that's the hiragana hu.
That one. For this one, the romanized letter is written as fu, F-U, but it doesn't sound like F.
Right, it's more in between the F and the H.
So is it fu?
Yeah. For hu, you don't really need to make a sound using your teeth or your lips. First try saying u and keep the shape of your mouth as it is.
U.
U. Now blow air through your teeth and opening to get fu.
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 A common mistake made by Japanese learners is that they tend to shorten long vowel sounds.
Before you go on, what is a long vowel sound?
This is when two vowel sounds are put together in a word. So for example, okasan, okasan. So ka ends in the vowel sound a, and then next to that there's another a. So there's two vowel sounds put together.
I get what you mean.
Because the vowel sounds are connected, it should be okasan, okasan. But the mistake is to read this as okasan without pronouncing the two vowels.
I guess I fall into this trap occasionally. Especially when I'm talking without giving the pronunciation much thought.
And this goes for the extension line used in katakana. So for example, biru. The extension line is basically a cue to extend the vowel sound, so it becomes biru instead of biru. A good way to practice this is to use claps to time each syllable. So it might be okasan or biru.
Nice. I guess the more I practice this at home, the more it'll come out naturally.
Also, one more tip to pronounce long vowel sounds is to open or widen your mouth more than usual. So instead of biru, it will be biru, biru, ビール or お母さんお母さんお母さんお母さん
Got that noted. I have a question though.
Okay.
For Japanese honorifics, you guys say keigo, right? Keigo is Japanese honorifics, but you spell it as keigo. But when I hear you guys pronounce it, you guys all just say keigo, not keigo.
So extending the ke.
Oh, what is that? What kind of situation is this?
There are also some other letter combinations that also require long vowel sounds. And they are the sound combinations of e, I, or o, u, or o. So that's any hiragana ending in the e sound followed by a I, or any hiragana ending in the o sound followed by an u, or any hiragana ending in a o sound followed by another o. For these combinations, these are also treated as a long vowel sound. So for example, as you said, keigo, o-sama, oki. In writing, they're pronounced keigo, or o-u-sama, or o-oki. But when converting them into speech, they become keigo, o-sama, oki. Another point which catches a lot of Japanese learners is the small tsu sound.
Yeah, I struggle with that one the most.
When it's seen in a word, it's taken as a pause and it's not pronounced.
So in my mind, I'm saying it without the pause, but for some reason, it comes out wrong.
And I imagine it's hard to be mindful of this in daily speech too.
Exactly.
So in the same way that we use claps to practice long vowels, we can use claps again to practice the pauses as well. So for example, matte is wait, and it will be pronounced ma-te, ma-te. But without the small tsu, it becomes mate. And this also means wait, but it's more demanding and impolite. Now there's a lot to talk about when it comes to Japanese pronunciation. I hope you were able to learn the basics of Japanese pronunciation. And before we finish, here's a quick quiz for you. What do you hear? Kite, kite, kite. One of them means stamp and one of them means come. Let us know in the comments below.
If you liked our video, don't forget to press that like button and to subscribe to our channel.
This is it for today and we'll see you in the next video. じゃあまたね! So it's a, I, u.
ラッパー、リス、ルパン、レタツ。
That's